Everyone. This is Yogesh Pandit, CEO and founder of Hexanica. As usual, every Monday we have the Hexa Talk. And this week we have some interesting people who are going to speak about artificial intelligence and machine learning, particularly around model transparency. And we have Advait Verma, who has completed bachelor's degree in electronics and telecommunication. He's pursuing his master's in operation research in finance and management from Columbia University. And then when it comes to his finance ability, he's focused on problem solving, and he has desire to pursue career in fintech, and that's why he is with Hexanica. Fun fact about him is he loves sports, and he is a massive cricket lover. We also have Shashwata Mukherjee. He is pursuing his undergraduate as a student in mechanical engineering in BITS Pilani, Goa, and he's very interested, if I can say, in artificial intelligence and related fields. We also have Sindhu Jaluri, and she's also pursuing her mechanical from BITS Pilani, and she's very much interested in AI as well as the application within the industry. Without further delay, I'm going to ask the first question. Perhaps Advait, if you could help us to explain what does artificial intelligence or machine learning or all this really means. Advait, to you, please
Sure,
take over.
sure. And firstly, let me thank you for that amazing introduction. So, again, hi to all of you all watching. I hope you all enjoyed today's session. So, okay, coming back to your question, Yogesh. Well, we know that people have misconceptions about the fact that AI and ML are the same thing. Well, they are not. AI can best be defined as the ability of a computer to replicate human behavior as closely as possible. And this is done through a computer program. And the process by which the computer program is trained to exhibit these traits is called as machine learning. Machine learning, we can essentially say that is broadly classified into supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. While supervised learning, the program knows what output it wants. Unsupervised learning, the program figures out what output it needs on its own. And reinforcement learning is a combination of supervised and unsupervised, wherein a feedback loop tells the program how well it is performing, and it, changes its parameters accordingly to make the output as accurate as possible. And some methods of machine learning include regression, clustering, support vector machines, neural networks, and so on. And artificial intelligence is essentially classified into cognitive and natural language processing. While cognitive is intelligence regarding computations, natural language processing is more about comprehending human language and comprehending stuff that is spoken about, and like exactly the way humans think. Best example of it would be Google Translate being able to detect the language that that we are typing and then asking for a translation. So NLP is the base of this. Now we know that the world is evolving, and like we have massive data that can be used. So let me just give you a quick example. Say there's been a robbery in our area, and the police is looking for the felon, and they have a database which is physical photographs. Now imagine you with a country, US being a country of 300 million people, it's physically impossible to look for these pictures in each and every photo, and it'll require too many people as well as long hours. While with an AI program on image detection, the facial recognition will run within seconds and tell you who the person is. And this will also save the cops from letting the uh, robber flee away. So that is one of the best examples that I can give you at this point of time. And as at Hexanica, since we are a fintech firm, I will focus a bit more on finance part of it. So AI and ML has a lot of other applications as well. They include finance, healthcare, sports, government, logistics, and one of the first ones was weather forecasting. And artificial intelligence dates way back into 1960s. So I mean, it's not a new thing, just that the technology available around us in the past few years, which is cheaply available, is making artificial intelligence more and more useful and more applicable.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
let me give you a couple of fun facts. Citadel, which is a trading firm, it has only 40 people on the trading floor. Rest all the transactions and buy sell signals are generated by computers. And believe me or not, they trade more than 900 million shares per day. And imagine the number of people that are just overseeing the computers are only 40. So you can imagine how strong AI has become. And
Interesting.
the best example of it would be that companies like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, they employ more programmers and engineers than companies like Facebook. So you can just see how important AI and ML has become in the financial industry as well. So
I think, Advait, you touched upon various aspects. Number one, you brought to everybody's attention that perhaps fintech, you said Goldman Sachs or similar institutions are employing more data scientists than firms like Facebook. What an eye opener, number one. Number two, you mentioned that AI as a concept has been there since 1950s and 60s. And just because of technology availability and cost and quantity of or data that is available, you are able to do it much more efficiently, effectively. Fantastic. But you also mentioned at the same time that I heard the words neural networks, cognitive, unsupervised machine learning, and it sounds a little bit scary, right? I mean, can you really read the minds of these models? Can you really have transparency? I mean, people are calling it as a black box, and the example that you gave of the cops finding the bad guy, can there be hidden bias in the models that nobody knows, that is identifying perhaps wrong people or something like that? So if anyone, Shashwata, if you are there, can speak about how scared we should be with such examples where there could be bias, and if you could share some light on whether we can have transparency of the model and how much we should be scared.
Sure, sure. I think that's a very valid question that you have raised, Yogesh, and I'd like to shed some light on it. So there has always been this feeling of uncertainty surrounding the implementation of machine learning models. And this fear of the unknown arises because mainly we don't really understand how a model works. But hold on, we can actually do so. Machine learning models are built using code. Like there is an extensive amount of code that runs in the background. And a model consists of different algorithms. To build an algorithm, we have to understand all the coding intricacies very carefully that are involved there. However, to use an algorithm, we can do pretty good without even going into the depths of the architecture. So I'll explain this with a very simple analogy. Consider the model to be an F1 car. And we here at Hexanica are a group of people, some of which know exactly how to design and build this car, and some of which just know how to drive this car. Okay, so it is never the case that the drivers who don't know how to build this car cannot operate the car, right? In fact, the more experienced drivers are actually very well acquainted with how the changes in different parts will affect the working of the car. So I'll give you an example. I'm a bachelor student and I have no experience in actually building ML models. However, I'm not scared of them because I do know how to use them. At least I do know how to use some of them. So let me cite an example of a very simple algorithm that was used in one of our projects recently, since you were talking about the bias thing. So often in real life, we have to deal with unbalanced data sets, right? And before fitting them on the model, we have to ensure that we balance them so that the model can observe all the classes present equally and be able to differentiate between them. Okay, so in this project, we were given a variety of attributes, and our main aim was to predict based on these attributes whether a particular loan application would be approved or denied. So the data sets that we had used for training, there was a lot of data present there, but the number of approvals were around 80% of the entire data set, whereas the number of denials were only 20%. And so this is where the bias comes in, right? If we fit such a type of data into our model, the model would learn the approvals very well. However, it would not learn the denials as well as is expected, right? We want to predict the denials correctly. Hence, what we should do is we should implement something to balance this data set before we actually fit it into our model. So the technique that we have used for balancing is called SMOTE, and I think it would be better if I could explain it a bit graphically. SMOTE is an abbreviation for synthetic minority oversampling technique. I know the name might sound a bit intimidating, but trust me, the underlying process is as simple as it can be, right? So what it does is it records the the data points from the minority class and plots them in a plane. These points, x14, x11, x12, x13, x1, these are all the data points present in the minority class. So what it will do is it will take any two minority data points and join them with a straight line. And on this particular straight line, it will start synthesizing new data points belonging to the minority class. Right. So what exactly is happening is that new data points of the minority class are getting created, and this number of minority class data points is slowly increasing. We would keep on doing this process until we reach the point where the number of data points of the majority class becomes equal to the number of data points of the minority class. So this was the SMOTE algorithm that we have used in one of our projects very recently. And once we have implemented this, our data set is actually ready to be fitted into the training model.
Awesome. I'm telling you, Shashwata, there is fear in the industry about bias, transparency of model. Some large institutions have decided not to use AI for some of the use cases that you mentioned, but I'm extremely happy that Dwight and you have been able to explain this in a simplistic way. This may not be very simple for everyone, but at least what you have convinced me that model transparency can be achieved. You could have audits, you could have testing, you could have various mechanisms where, in fact, I feel that you perhaps may know bias much better in a technological model than in the mind of human beings. So Shashwata and Advait, thank you very much for that explanation. Now, perhaps, if we can talk about some additional example or something that we can speak about. I know we have Sindhu on the call as well. Sindhu, if you want to quickly speak about an example or something that can shed some more light on the topic.
Before telling about how it's useful for financial operations and all, neural networks are evolved a lot from past. So these neural networks are generally like BERT models, which are bidirectional encoder representation of transformers. These are the things which can be used for finance, even though they are trained on English as a main language, because again we'll train them with Yahoo Finance, financial tech, and all these things, corpus, which could lead to a better formation of these things. So by this, we'll use this approach of mask language modeling and next sentence prediction. This mask language modeling would seem a terrible word to everyone, but it's a simple one where we can understand that by using a sentence, if we try to cover a sentence and make it visible to the computer, then it will try to predict what is there in that. So by this, it will try to learn about how is the sentence formed and how is it analyzed in the finance point of view. So we can use this for getting the sentiment analysis of the statement, whether it's correct or not regarding the financial point of view. We could get the summarization of the whole text, or else we could make the financial aspects pretty good. Or we can make chatbots using that so it could answer financial queries and all. Recently, we did a project regarding this of auto rules creation where we were given 180 business rules. So these were the 180 business articles which we got, and we were trying to convert the unstructured data to structured data, so we could make a rule out of one every article, and we use some keywords whether to test whether there is a rule in an article or not. By this we could pretty much create an predicted rule which was almost similar to the actual rule, and it was quite elaborated when compared to the actual rule too.
Sure, Sindhu, fantastic examples, and this is showing the power of AI, and you actually showcased a big problem for financial services of changing regulations. I mean, you what you showcased was there was a guidance, you created rules, you summarized the rules, and today financial institutions, if I can say, waste a lot of money just creating these rules, managing these rules, or manage these changing regulations. And you gave a light on how AI with transparent data models, as Shashwata spoke about, can be leveraged to do that. I think this might be a bit longer session than usual Hexa talk, but Advait, Shashwata, and Sindhu have done a fantastic job on one topic, especially around model transparency, with some history, with some examples, and would love any feedback and comment from any one of you. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at marketing@hexanica.com. And thank you, Advait, Shashwata, and Sindhu, for this lovely session. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Sure.